afternoon, everyone. So my name is Oshari, and thank you for tuning in to my channel. If you have not yet liked and subscribed to my channel, I'm asking you to please do so. So today I want to do a quick video on how to build your credit score if you recently migrated to the States. It's not only for Jamaicans, it's generally for anyone who has recently migrated from a country where, they didn't utilize the credit system. So I'll be just sharing a few tips from my experience with you. So I migrated to the States about 2 years ago. And when I came here, it was so frustrating to figure out, how the credit system, how the credit system here worked. And so for me, it took, like a road awakening for me to realize that things are not the same as though it was back home. And so I had to quickly acclimate to what was going on here. So just let me open up my documents. I have an article out. I also have a Facebook Live out on the same topic, but I decided to put this on my channel so that my subscribers would also have access to the information. Of course, we want to share our experiences with each other to ensure we don't make the same mistakes or ones that could possibly be avoided. All right. As I said before, this is a topic I've always wanted to do since the start of the year, but I got so preoccupied with other, things I was working on. So please forgive me. And for my friends who have been asking, they've been in my inbox and I've been responding to them one by one. I decided after a while, let's just put the material out there. And if somebody asks, I can direct them to where the material is instead of having to be, repeating myself each time somebody asks me, how did you build your credit score when you migrated to the States? So I'm going to run through this quickly. So as I said before, if you are like me who recently migrated from a country, I from Jamaica, where there was no credit system in place. So if we wanted a loan, we did not have to, give a social. We didn't have a social. We have what you call a tax registration number, TRN. And, once your salary can afford the loan, then you would get the loan, pretty much, to summarize. So when I came here, we found out that we have a credit system in place, credit bureaus that report your credit score when lenders, go to check. So let's jump into the gems or the tips that I have. So the first thing I did when I came here was to open a secured credit card. What is a secured credit card? It's a type of credit card for individuals who have little or damaged credit and requires the account holder to place a refundable security deposit down. Right? What do I mean by that? So some banks, will take a percentage of the amount that you want on the secured credit card. So for example, if it's $500, they say to you, okay, it's 50% of that $500 that you would need to put down as a security, while other banks would require you to put the full amount that is going to be on that secured credit card. So if it's $500 that you want on that secured credit card, then you would have to put that $500 down as security. And then whenever that account is converted to a regular credit card, then that $500 would end up being refundable to you. They would give that back to you. All right. So that's the first thing. Open a secured credit card. It's not hard to get because, of course, you have security put down, and that can actually get the ball rolling for your credit to be in the system. All right. So that's tip number one. So tip number two, if you're living with family, you're living with friends, or you're just living on your own, ensure you have a bill in your name. Because I think recently what the credit bureaus have been doing is they allow you to use a bill that you have in your name to help to stimulate or to boost your credit score. Get what I'm saying? All right, so let me just read what I wrote down. So this can be like a phone bill, can be like a utility bill, as long as it's in your name and it's being paid on time. Please do not take a bill that you have not been paying on time and ask them to use that to add to your credit. No, get what I'm saying? Because of course, when they run that, they're going to end up seeing that you did not pay the bill well. And of course, that would not thumbs up your credit score, more like thumbs down. All right. So ensure that any bill that you're adding to your credit score to stimulate or to boost it is actually a bill that is being paid on time and you've had for a while. All right. Okay, so 3 would be, and this is the one that kind of like tipped the bucket up for me. My mother-in-law had a Chase card that she was not using, and so she added me to that credit card. It's a regular credit card. She added me to that, and I became the sole user of that card, and that card she had for about 5 years. So that helped to cement my credit history, which contributes a lot, yes, a lot to your credit score. So if you know a family member that you can trust, or a friend that you can trust, then you can always ask to be added to that person's credit card, and then you can use that will help to boost your score a little bit faster. Please note, the longer the credit history, it's the better. Do not ask somebody to open a credit card and add you to it. That would serve no purpose, because you don't have the credit history. The credit card is just open, you know what I mean? So that would not contribute or boost your credit score as fast enough. So ensure it's something that they've had for a while, right? And ensure that the account is also in good standing. Don't just go and let them add it to an account that was bad, or they're not paying on time, because you will innately inherit that bad report. You get what I'm saying? So ensure it's in good standing. Now, this will help to cement your oldest credit line and available credit. It's also important to know that credit history accounts for 15% of your overall credit score, right? As I said before. And this is something important that I learned as I went along, that the credit utilization, be sure to keep that under 30%. It is recommended. Once you use more than 50% of the amount that you're allowed on the credit card, then it thumbs down your credit score. So try to keep the usage under 30%. So if you have a $100, example, $100 credit card, try not to go over $30, right, at one time. All right, so that's how many points we said. Secured credit card, we said try having a bill in your name that you can help to stimulate or boost your credit score. And we said 3, ask a family member or friend, someone that you can trust, to add you to their credit card, one that they're not using, one that they've had over an extended period of time, and try to keep the credit utilization under 30%. And as I said before, that your credit history accounts for 15% of your overall credit score. So it's important to have a good credit history, or a long credit history. All right. This is one that I encourage people to do, but I don't like for myself, is those departmental credit cards. They help and they contribute towards your overall credit. But to me, if you don't have to use them, don't use them. It's good to have, but if you don't have to use them, don't use them. A lot of people open these departmental credit cards and they blow them, and they end up affecting your credit score, your credit score. So my recommendation is, if you don't need to have them, maybe apply for them, keep them open, use them every now and then, but do not overextend yourself with those credit cards, because you go into Victoria's Secret, and even though you didn't want something in there, you end up spending because you have the departmental credit card. I'd recommend not to. If you have it, try to stay within your affordability ratio, whatever you can afford. Sit and do the math, because once your credit is damaged, it's something that takes time to repair. And so you recently migrated in the country. If you're going to need a house to rent, you're going to need credit score. You're going to need your credit score. You're going to run your credit. So it's important to build and retain a good credit score, right? So that's number 4. All right, so this is something else. When you have your secured credit card, or you're added to your family member's credit card, try to use that credit card to purchase food, pay certain bills, or anything that you normally or typically spend on using cash. Just use your credit card to do that, and then try to pay the credit card after. You don't necessarily have to wait until the due date of the credit card to pay it, or until you get a bill. Once you have the cash on hand, you can just pay that credit card immediately, right? So that's something that I would like to encourage people to do. Something have the credit card, what am I going to use it to do? And if you have the credit card and you're not using it, it's not gonna like build your credit score because you just have the cards, you're not using them. Apart from the credit history, there's nothing else that's being done, no activity on the card. So for somebody who's trying to build their credit score, you have to do perform activities on it so that they can see that you pay, you pay on time, you're good with your payments. I can increase this person's credit line, because some banks will, after like 6 months, they'll increase your credit line without you having to do anything on your part because of how you've paid your credit cards on time. So that's important. So if use your credit cards to purchase food and pay bills as much as possible, but ensure you're disciplined to pay these back, because that's one of the things that end up affecting a lot of us. We use a credit card, and when we're supposed to pay them back, we're not as disciplined. So that's important. For me, as I said before, I use my credit card to pay bills and to buy my kids milk and all of these nice stuff. And as soon as I get home, I transfer the money back to pay the credit card. This will ensure that I retain 100% on-time payment, and I keep my usage under recommended is 30%, 50% is fine. Under 50% is also fine, but my recommendation is 30%, right? A trick that I find that has been working for me is to ensure that at no point in time I use more than 50% of my credit, the amount that's on my credit card. So that works for me. It's like I push myself to ensure it's always under at least 50%. Ideally it's 30, but at least 50%. I know that sometimes we don't always have the money to pay the credit card up front. I mean, that's why we have credit cards anyways, to help us out of certain jam. But try not to put yourself in a position where you can't pay it back because you overextend. Try not to. All right, that's important. Now, something happened to me that I have to share with you. So after a while, I came off my mother-in-law's credit because my credit was well established, or so I thought. So I came off her the account. We're like, oh yeah, Chase interest rate is too high. This was my own experience. I was like, it's too high, so I'll just close it. So since she's not using it, and I'm not going to put up with these how do I explain it? This with the high interest rates, I'm like, you know what, let me just close it. So I ended up closing out the account, terminating it. Can you believe what happened to me? My credit score took a big dive. It took a dive because I didn't know that if I closed the account, it would, well, let me not say I didn't know. I didn't think it through that when I closed the account, it would end up negatively impacting my credit history and also the amount of credit that I have available to me. So those 2 points combined, the fact that my credit history significantly decreased, and the amount of credit that I had available also significantly decreased, that it ended up hitting my my overall credit like by maybe 25%. Yeah, it was that bad. So my recommendation is, even if you have a credit card that you're not using, do not close that credit card, and every now and then you try to use it, perform some activity on it, and then pay it back immediately, so you would not have to contend with any interest whatsoever. Right, so I'm wrapping up quickly. So additional information that I think is important: one, the impact of a negative information in your score will remain on your credit for a set period of time. For Experian, that Experian is what I use, late payment appears for 7 years from the date that you first missed a payment. So for 7 years, you have to deal with missing a payment. You see, you don't need that drama. So try to ensure you pay your credit cards on time. 7 years later, you still have to deal with that baggage on your back. We don't need that. So the credit is hard to fix after the damage is done, and that's something I need you guys to understand. So we try to avoid getting there. It's a process and it takes time. So paying off a debt account will not immediately fix your credit. So not because let's just say you missed a few payments, you're gonna just come now and dump everything. In Jamaica, that's how we do it. So I missed my courts bill for 2 months. You just go and you pay the courts bill and whatever late fees there, and that's it. Nobody knows about you on courts business. But here, once you miss those payments, everybody know about it, because if you need to do rent, if you need to apply for a credit card, personal loan, then they're gonna find that information. Oh no, you're not a good person, you don't pay on time. All right. So Okay, for me, I thought having a running balance on the credit card, is what contributed to your actual score. You don't need to have a balance on your credit card for it to contribute to your score after you've established yourself. So as I said before, it's good to keep activity going on the card, but don't feel like you have to have a running balance on the card for it to actually be contributing to your credit score. That's good to clear the air, because I thought I had to. And then we also know that setting a full amount you owe can harm your credit. So if you take a loan for X amount, try to see if you can pay that off as soon as possible. I know you're new to the country, things can go crazy pretty fast. Some people take a year to actually start building the credit. I've been in the country, as I said before, for 2 years, and I now have an excellent credit score. So you don't need to follow those old myths. If you take these steps that I told you to take, these are the exact steps that I took to get me to where I'm at now and how I retain it. So pretty much that's it. As I said before, I'm just going to reiterate my points. I said 1, open a secure credit card. 2, try to have a bill in your name that you can use to stimulate or to boost your credit. 3, if you have a family member that you can trust, ask them to add you to their credit card, one that they do not use. Only you would pretty much use that. And I said what? And you have the option of applying for departmental credit cards. Those can also contribute to your credit score, but please do not overextend yourself and just spend, because then you will have the bill to pay, right? Use your credit card to purchase foods and those small little stuff that you'd usually use cash to do, and then pay back those with the cash as soon as possible. You don't need to wait until the due date or to get a bill to say, oh, it's time to pay, because then maybe the bill is delayed if you're taking physical bill. And if you're doing electronic, maybe it comes and just goes to your spam, you don't see it, you end up forgetting it, and then of course your credit score ended up boop. We don't want that. All right, so thank you so much for tuning into my channel. My name is Oshari, aka the Career and Business Guru. Until next time, see you.